There we go. We're streaming. Hello, YouTube. And we
It's not gone
should.
live for me yet.
No, so there is.
Oh, there it
Hello,
is.
YouTube. Oh,
There it is.
there. I need to mute it. As predicted, there we are. So I did turn the latency down a bit, and that was what, maybe about 10 seconds then? But it can be like
Yeah, like
30
minute.
seconds on
Yeah.
different latency. So I've put it on the middle one. Obviously, the high latency is better quality video, but much more lag. And then the opposite end of the scale is reduced quality video, but almost live, real-time interaction with listeners. So I've gone for the middle one with a slight delay.
Well, to be
So-
fair, we're not exactly doing like, high motion scene changes and all sorts. I don't think, the lowest of
Yeah.
the lowest video quality would probably matter too much.
No, you're probably right. I'll play with
It's
this
all
one.
about our fantastic voices, really.
It is. I'll play with this one and see what happens. And maybe try the other one next month. Why is there three of us?
I was gonna say, yeah, is there a third person?
Why is there three of us? There's another one that's muted, but it looks like a repeat of your feed.
Okay then.
Ooh.
Well, we don't have the chat in there like we often do, but anyway, welcome listeners to the British
Yeah.
Hour.
Yeah, welcome to the British Hour. Nice. Bark Betty's there in chat waiting. Hopefully, there's a few more watching. Hopefully, there'll be a few more join us. We don't normally do this on a Saturday. I normally have other plans on a Saturday. But we are fast running out of days, and it's been a bit of a bitch this month to get anything done. I only got Dinosaur Pie about 3 days ago. I'm yet to receive a hardware flashback. We did top 10 last night. I've got to edit that, and we're doing news now, and tomorrow is the end of the month. So, and the first is my birthday, so it may be the second or the third when the show comes out, but it'll be worth waiting for. Believe that.
Depends how drunk you get.
So it seems like ages ago now, Random, but we did an expo.
Oh yeah, a lot's happened since then.
It
But,
has. It's nearly a month. And it's been a crazy busy month, as last month was. Every weekend there has been something on. It's just been pretty crazy. So I don't really feel like I've got anywhere, but I've seemed to have achieved a lot at the same time. So back to the expo. We did Revival back at its original home at Dunstall Racecourse, Wolverhampton Racecourse, Dunstall Park, I should say. And we did a booth for the first time in 5 years. So obviously there's been revivals, but no big ones since before lockdown. And we've done a few plays since then in Blackpool, but not done a booth. And so it's the first one for 5 years, and I've moved house since then. So I'm looking around the house, like some of the booth stuff is here. The Lucky Dip is literally there at the side of me. Some of the TVs and things, the sound stuff is under the table at the side of me. Some stuff is in the arcade, and the rest of it's in various rooms and sheds. So I had to pull everything together, go through everything very quickly, and decide what we're taking, what we're not taking. And then it all seemed very strange setting it up. Me and little Ben set it up on the Friday, and we're going through it. Well, should we put this up? Nah, probably not. We don't need that anymore. So there's some stuff we didn't bother with. We kept 2 tables. We could have had a couple more, but we kept 2 tables. So we still had the couch and the TV and all of that. We had 2 tables in an L shape. One, Random was selling James and Watch on. I had the screens, advertising that, and the slideshows and things. And another touch screen where people can come along and put a pair of headphones on and listen to, interview clips from the show, that kind of thing. And then the rest of the table was pretty much free, which was good because it meant we could play card games and board games on it for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
The Lucky Dip was there, obviously, again. I had a box, and I'm getting an echo coming back at me for
I
some
was gonna say, I'm
reason.
getting the echo thing now. I think we had a brief sparkle.
I think we did. There is some echo coming back. Anyway, yeah, so we had a in the Lucky Dip, so it's like £1 a go, and you can pull a game out, anything. There's just random stuff in there, mostly games, but other stuff as well. And there's one in there that says an issue with Retro Gamer, and I've got a box at the side of Retro Gamers. So at the end of the weekend, or well, the Sunday afternoon, I thought I'm not taking these home with me again and bringing them back again. So there was a guy in the next room with in the vendor hall, just selling magazines, all sorts of magazines, game magazines, obviously. And so I just went up to him. I said, I've got a box of 20 Retro Gamers here. Give me 20 quid for it, you can have it. And he did, so I got rid of all the Retro Gamers. Did a couple of talks there, so there were 3 talks and a quiz. So I did the first talk with Roland Perry of Amstrad. And then Paul Drury did a talk with Jeff Minter, who couldn't be there in person. Jeff and Ivan, they couldn't be there in person, so they did it via, I think it was Skype they used in the end, on my laptop at the last minute because they were struggling to get a device to run it. And then I did a talk with Alex Trowers and Glenn Corps from Bullfrog. And then there was a quiz at 5 o'clock in the evening. It's one of those where you do it online on your phone, and you sort of tap the answer on your phone, and then they collate it all and what have you. We didn't win, sadly, but we did all right. I think we were 6th or something like that, I think. We were first at one point.
Second and third, yeah, definitely up there for a while.
But I think we finished about 6th in the end, something like that. We met a few listeners. Some we've met at various expos before. Some we meet every time. Some new faces as well. We met Stu, who... Oh, what was his last name? I could find it in the emails. I can't remember his last name. But anyway, he's built his own arcade machine, and it's themed on Dam Busters. But it's like an ice cold beer machine. Same principle, but a few different gameplay elements. But it's all themed around Dam Busters. And it was a great game. It lasted, I think, till... Was it Sunday afternoon? Something went wrong with it Sunday afternoon.
I think it broke as well on the Saturday.
Right, okay. The ball got trapped in it a couple of times, didn't it? But he fixed it and got it up and running again. So, yeah, hung out with him a little bit. He showed us around his lovely camper van. I got to play a few pinballs. We were right by the side of a line of pinball machines, so got to play a few of those. Went round the vendor hall. I think it was probably the Sunday. It just seemed to be like the Saturday went pretty quickly. I did 2 talks, and then there wasn't the one I wasn't supposed to be doing. I ended up running around setting up the laptop for, and then it just seemed that Saturday went really quickly. Went out for a curry at night, as we usually do on the Saturday. With so there was me, Random, Little Ben, Gareth, Rob. Who else was there? Was the 6? There were 6 of us, weren't there? Septic. Oh yeah, Septic. Forgot all about that. Yeah, Septic came to the expo, stayed over for the weekend, and came out for the curry with us on the Saturday night. It was a good curry, actually, like proper authentic Indian food, and it was dirt cheap as well, and really good. It was good.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. We went in one, and they were like, it's going to be 2 hours before we can seat you, because 60 people from the expo were just piled in. So we made a hasty exit from there. Played a few card games, tabletop games anyway. In the hotel room and in the booth as well. Played a bit of Love Letter. Random brought one down called Dungeon Mayhem. And we did some play testing on CGE Adventures, the travel game. Not the board game, I didn't take that, but the travel game. So I reminded myself of the rules of it because I've not played it for about 6 years. And then I think we tweaked the rules a bit as well, didn't we, through play. And then changed the ratio of some of the decks. There's 3 different decks in there, so changed the card ratios and things. So it's just a good expo all round, pretty much. I'm going to have a little drink, Random. My throat's getting a bit dry. What did you think about the expo?
It was good. It was a good expo. Fortunately, I had also recently moved, but what did I do? I did the when I moved, I put all of my James and Watch gear and all my Expo stuff like sensibly organised in the loft, so I was able to just go and grab exactly what I needed, no problems. But yeah, I came down on the Saturday morning, just sort of shot straight in just before sort of doors opened. Managed to sort of just saunter in with a storage box, made it look like I belonged, and yeah, didn't have any problems until I'd got a pass. Yeah, and had a nice time. I mean, it's mostly just catching up with everyone really, and you know, I sort of went round the vendors, got a couple of well, sort of not so much bargains, but very good prices on a couple of Game Boy games, which the seller had last been out, he was saying, at a London market before lockdown, and all he'd done was just shove all his stuff in storage and then just threw it in the car, drove to Wolverhampton, and then unloaded it. And he was like, "Yeah, all the prices are like 4 years old." Shit. So yeah, but yeah, everything else, the prices of stuff, just it's getting a bit nuts. So you know, I kind of loath to really be too bothered to buy anything, especially sort of anything I'm particularly looking for is kind of generally expensive. I mean, Septic bought a boxed Metal Gear Solid on the Game Boy Color, and that was 150 quid.
Yeah.
There was someone selling a broken Jaguar for what, 120 was it?
120 spares or repairs.
A broken Jaguar, for fuck's sake!
No, nothing
Jesus.
with it. Just the console. No games, no pads, no cables. Just the console.
Absolutely bananas. So yeah, don't know whether we're going to ever head into a price correction on the retro stuff, but Jesus, yeah, things have changed a lot since. I mean, how long have we been doing expos?
A long
Good
time.
10 years or something. Yeah.
2010 was the first one we went to as a show.
Whew, so yeah, 14 years. Yeah,
Wow.
I guess it makes sense, but yeah, I think I wonder if lockdown did add extra. You know, we'd seen it going up and going up, but yeah, I wonder if sort of people sat inside just buying games online and just sort of inflated everything. But yeah, aside from that, it was a good selection of arcade cabs. Like you say, good selection of pinballs. I mean, it felt kind of fairly smallish.
The
Yeah,
main
just-
room, the big room that we were in, I don't think there was as much in there as normal. I think the arcade and the other back room with the stage and the vendors, I think that was probably as full as normal. But
Yeah.
maybe the other side didn't have quite as much in.
And then so I mean, like that, the hall we were in, you know, there was a guy a couple of tables down selling modified Game Boys for quite high prices, and they were so high that he'd had that little interest on the Saturday. He just packed up fairly early Saturday and didn't return. So you know, there's a big empty table there where he was on the Sunday, and Sunday was definitely quite quiet.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it wasn't a bad thing, but you know, it was though a lot. You know, we always say Revival's more of the community feel to it, and it did seem to be, you know, quite a lot of it was, you know, familiar faces, and you know, generally everyone who was sort of getting together for that, rather than sort of you. Certainly, there's not like the Blackpool. You're on the front, so you know, okay, a fair way out of Blackpool, but still you get walk-in trade. Which you're not really going to do out in the sort of back end of Wolverhampton. It's, you know, not exactly, you know, there's no real reason to be passing the racecourse particularly. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a good time. We certainly had a good laugh. A few guys from work had to go to a engineering conference a couple of weeks ago. One of them's well into board games and video games, card games, and isn't so much interested in having to sit on and sort of talk to customers or other engineers. I mean, he's a sort of head architect programming architect, so he knows the engineering, but it's not massively his strong suit. He just wants to be in the nuts and bolts of the software. And I showed him the pictures of us just sort of playing Oregon Trail and stuff, and say, yeah, this is what you want to go to a convention booth. This is how you do it. And he's just like, I'm so jealous. I don't want.
Yeah.
I'd much rather be doing that.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. On the list of games we played, Oregon Trail, the card game. And how far did we get? You meant to get
we got about
50?
We did
50 cards in the full trail, is it? And we got like 35 or something like that was the best.
Was it 50? I thought wasn't it? Or was it 100?
Was it? No, it's
total?
10 lots of every 5.
It's 10 lots
you
of
stack
5,
them
yeah.
up,
and
it's 10 lots of 5.
That was it.
We got to
and
the
we
7th.
We got to the 7th
didn't we?
pile, yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty tricky, wasn't it? There were 3 of us in the gang playing in the group, so I don't know if it helps with there's more of you. Maybe you have a wider selection of cards, I don't know, but yeah, it was pretty tricky. But a good game, though.
A lot of opportunities to die, it turns out.
Yeah, yeah, and not always from dysentery.
No. Quite often not.
Yeah. I think we do have a sparkle there. So while he's there, at the show, I got to play the Godzilla Pinball, which it was okay as a game. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening on the video screen that you don't really get a chance to play, especially when it's the first time you've played the machine. But I've got to say, like would you call it a vibrator? The motor, the rumble motor in the machine, it's got to be one of the strongest I've ever felt in a pinball or any arcade machine. It was mental. It felt like the machine was bouncing across the floor, but pretty good game, though. Hello, Sparkle. Are you still there? Yes, no, maybe he's having issues. So that was pretty much the expo, and so it's possibly the last big revival, but there will be potentially more smaller revivals, because if you're on Facebook, you've probably seen it already. But Craig is part of the organisation / ownership. I don't know the exact ins and outs, but he talks about it in his interview on the show here. And it's an arcade, a barcade in Walsall, not too far from Wolverhampton, but in the Midlands anyway, in Walsall, called the Retro Realm. So they will have a bar, they will have food, they will have arcade games, they will have consoles, and there is rooms for, or room I should say, for, small gatherings, that kind of thing. So that could be the future of Revival. Whether or not he wants to do another big one at the moment, I'm not sure. But they are having an opening on the 5th of July. Is the Saturday the 5th? Or is it it's got delayed, has it?
I think I saw it got delayed.
Oh, right. I might be able to go to it then, because I'm away that weekend. So he did invite me. I think it was invite only. But he did invite me, and I'm away that weekend, so I can't make it. But if it's been delayed, maybe I can. But check out the Retro Realm. Hello. Check out the Retro Realm, and keep your eyes peeled for future events and stuff. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, saucy.
There you go. So that is about me for the month. Sparkle, what have you been up to?
Yeah, hold on. All my stuff is jacked up. Yeah.
Show
Want to say
title.
the last month I've been traveling to Florida. So back and forth to Florida. My daughter is, one daughter wanted to go there for college. The other one's like playing volleyball. Crazy times. Divided a lot of it through gaming sessions and playing video games and going to different arcades and whatnot. Played Jaws, pinball, Pulp Fiction, which is awesome. Just like spent a lot of times playing games and stuff like that. John Wick, have you seen that yet?
No.
Yes, watched it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Finally.
It's kind of weird. The 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 Pulp Fiction game, like, really slow, but it feels super solid. John Wick, like, not that great. I don't know, like, I have a buddy that's like super deep into pinball with all the Bally stuff, and he was like chastising me. He's like, "Oh, like, how do you like John Wick?" And I love all the movies, bros. Like, love them, but just wasn't there for me. Like, couldn't get it to work. Pulp Fiction, super cool. Hella expensive. I think that game's like $9,000 or something from Chicago Pinball. Was pumping all kinds of quarters into it. Like, just didn't really get there. Was playing Jaws. Super cinematic journey playing the game and everything, like, reminded me of the movie, but just, the shots were kind of lame. Like, didn't really love that one. I think I mentioned it before, not sure, but I've been playing Wasteland 3 ever since Fallout show came out. So, been playing Wasteland 3. I think it was like $8 on PSN Network or whatever. It was a steal for a few bucks, but like, great game. Keep coming back to that, like, playing a little bit here and there, chipping away at that. I'm like slowly approaching my mid 40s. Been playing like competitive volleyball on sand courts with my daughter, and just like beat up every day. Like, feel like my knees and elbows are gonna fucking fall off. But love volleyball, man. I don't know if you guys play it, any of the listeners, but like, there's a volleyball court near you, like, get out there, check it out. Small screen, been playing some Dragon Intrigue with House of Dragon, so going on, and had to rewatch the first season. I read the book, Blood and Fire, like, years ago, and just wanted to like rewatch the first season, and been watching Game of Thrones kind of thing. So that's, fantastic. Love that one. And started catching up on The Boys season 4. I don't know, like, gets a little weird, a little political, like, dive into politics here since Scott isn't around. As far as America, holy shit, like, I was like trapped. I've been traveling all over for work, like, been goddamn, like, coast to coast, back and forth, like, all over the goddamn place. I was up in New York. I'm in the mid-Atlantic, and I had a 3:30 flight. It was like some kind of plane like bumped off the airport and like crashed, so they had to like scoop it up and investigate and everything. It was like 3:30, 5:30, 7:30, 9:30, 11:30. Like, goddamn, flew out at 2 a.m. and was able to watch the first presidential debate here in the United States, and I think they both suck, man. Like, Biden was like goddamn zombie. Like, Trump was, whatever. I'm just like, man, is this the best we have? So whatever. It was weird, but the show's gonna come out pretty soon, so I'm sure people have opinions about it. But yeah, summertime here. Looking forward to playing some beach volleyball, playing some video games. Probably gonna dive back into some old school Sega hardcore retro games, like some Phantasy Star 3 or 4. Usually, like, that's my go-to for the summer, and dump it off to UK Mike for some news.
Well, I didn't finish my my month update.
And while you're doing that, Random, there's a question in chat for you, but continue.
For me?
Yeah. It's from Spinal. He said, Random, why the TV frame without changing the background inside the TV?
I couldn't be bothered at that point. I have corrected that. But I've got at the moment on the TV a picture of me shirking my responsibilities. We're a long way away from a decent surf beach. I guess Cornwall's your best bet. Maybe you could do it here and there around Scarborough, but wouldn't be the best. So we don't have surf dogs, but we do have goat yoga. So I went and did that for the morning. That was quite good fun. Not the most serious yoga I've ever done, it has to be said.
Listen, you're in Sheffield, right?
Yeah.
Anytime I meet people from the UK, like they always seem to be from London, and I'm like, I got a buddy in Sheffield, and they're like, like that's cute, you know.
Well, that's Southerners for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than that, not a lot of gaming. Other than I played through Mars After Midnight while I was away on the play date, which was a nice little game, but I don't think it was quite everything that people were sort of hyping it up to be. And I've just been sort of most other sort of gaming I've had a chance to do is just chipping away at Final Fantasy VII, which I'm playing on the Steam Deck, which is nice and convenient.
Well, wait, real quick. Did you like Mars After Midnight?
It was all right. I
like the art. Like, I think the art's pretty cool.
Art's great. I think the audio's great. It just the gameplay loop and stuff is. I mean, weirdly, I was kind of, not quite addicted, but I was compelled to sort of see it all the way through, but there wasn't sort of that much variety in it. You could see it has been targeted more towards sort of a younger audience, and it's kind of puzzle solving for like tween age possibly. But yeah, it's just it's a nice little cute game. But yeah.
Did you beat it?
Yeah, all the way through.
All right.
Damn.
Yeah.
But
and then
go on. No, carry on. I thought you'd finished.
I was going to say, so yeah, quickly on the volleyball, I used to play for my school. Used to really enjoy it. Kind of, I think if I could easily, access volleyball again, I'd probably play it. One of my mates is in the GB Paralympic team, where they play seated volleyball. But like a lot of GB teams, they're not that great. But there's like teams from Russia which are all fucking huge built people, and even though it's to make it fair, everyone's seated, even if you don't have to be forced to sit down. But yeah, even just that still gives you an advantage if you're quite big in the torso. And speaking of big torsos, TV wise, I watched Physical 100 season 2.
Yeah, hell yeah!
I'm not sure what it is about that show, but it's great. And some of the people are just like Thanos is just built ridiculously, man.
That fucking guy.
Just amazing. Yeah, and like some of the shit they're doing, it's just it's pretty nuts. Although even though I'm out of training, I probably would have done quite well in the initial opening running event. When I sort of worked out my timings that I used to do. So that was quite interesting. I'd got murdered in the rest of it, no doubt. But we just wrapped up watching Bodies on Netflix, which is kind of a weird sort of crime thriller with sci-fi time travel stuff. And the time travel side of it kind of falls apart a bit. And the ending, the sort of last episode, as they're trying to wrap it all up, it kind of falls off the rails a little bit. But it was, for a good 3/4 of it, it was like, all right, yeah, I'm sort of want to see where this is going. This is progressing quite nicely, but yeah.
See, we started that, and I think we bailed after maybe a bit of the second episode, and with the end, with you talking about the ending now, I'm kind of glad we did, but just didn't grab us.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think that's about it. As there's been lots of other shit going on
I watched a couple of TV shows. I watched. There's a new season of Hacks. It's not laugh out loud funny, but it's a good show. Some clever humour in it. And we watched Bodkin, which is just weird. It's like about some podcasters trying to solve a murder in Ireland or a disappearance in Ireland. There's some funny bits in, but it's some of it's like quite weird. It's in like this little village in the back of Beyond in Ireland, and everyone's a little bit strange. But yeah, I'd say it's worth a watch. Give it a go. Sparkle keeps muting and unmuting. I don't know if he's got a problem or he's doing it on purpose and clicking the button. What was I was going to ask him? Someone in chat says my volleyball experience while we're at it. I've only ever played it on holiday, but like they used to do it, and we went on this holiday and the hotel would organise a game like on a sand court near the beach in the afternoon, so like 4 or 5 o'clock when the heat's gone out the sun or going out the sun kind of thing. So we'd fuck about down there for an hour or so, and then go back to the hotel, all dive in the pool, and that early evening is great. The heat's gone out the sun, you can get your kids out without being paranoid about them burning to death in the sun kind of thing. Chuck them in the pool, and it's just a nice sort of cool part of the evening. And then the hotel security's like, "Oh, we're closing the pool now. You got to get out." And everyone's like, fuck off. We're not getting out. So that's my volleyball experience. But talking about, in GB players random, I used to know a female GB water polo player, and she just had the biggest fucking hands you've ever seen in your life. Literally hold a football in one hand. It was crazy. And there you go. And there's a question in chat for Sparkle. Bartbit is asking, is volleyball big in the US? I feel like every other podcast host is occupied with their daughter's VB tournaments.
Yeah, so we went to the Junior Olympic AAU National Championship for my daughter. There was 117,000 people there. In Orlando 2 weeks ago. So yeah, it's a big fucking deal, bro. Like, it's big. I think just like any sport, they just sanctioned beach volleyball for being like a college, like scholarship sport like 2 years ago. So it's kind of growing. The Olympics happen, a month from now, or like cutting into July or whatever. So like, go ahead and watch it. It's really fun. If you have a court and a couple people, we were just out there last night and like just kind of training or whatever, and like there were some randos, and it's probably like some dudes that were like in their like late 20s or whatever, and there's like 10 dudes out there like drinking beer and stuff, and like came out to the court and just kind of played with them, and lots of fun kind of diving in the sand. So sand, indoor, a little bit different game, but something you can kind of play like your whole life, like if you have like a public court and there's people up there, it's pretty fun. I don't know, it's definitely growing. Like there's leagues in South America, like all over like Southern Europe, like Italy and shit like that. So it's a good time.
A lot of sports ball talk in this episode. We were talking some sports ball on the top 10 as well. But over here,
good thing Scott ain't here.
Yeah, it was him that started it with his Atari football. Over here, like some of the older generations will play things like walking football or walking netball and things, but like walking volleyball wouldn't kind of work, would it? You got to slow down gravity and beat the ball.
Look, I know, like our co-host, like just shits on sports and whatever, but there's some inherent value as far as like getting out there, like building community, like playing a game and things like that, and like maybe that's not his thing or your thing or whatever, but I think it's like the sense of community and like play and things like that. So that's really like the oldest style of play, right? Like before we got video games and stuff like that. So anyway,
Yeah. Anyway, let's get into some news because this is live news as Random's background gets all trippy.
right.
The first one comes in from good old Gareth Hamer. Super Mario Kart gets new tracks. So this is a ROM hack for the original Mario Kart on the SNES. And you're getting some brand new levels. It's called Mario Kart Horizons. I did grab this. I did put it on the Steam Deck. And I did not play it. I don't know why. I just haven't really picked the Steam Deck up. Although, brief interlude. We were talking about Magic the Gathering. And I thought, I was watching it and I'm thinking, because I'm loving card games and stuff at the moment. And I'm asking Random, like, have you ever played Magic the Gathering? Like, how nerdy is it? Am I, like, going to develop an adenoid problem if I start playing Magic the Gathering? So then, but you can play it online. You can install it it's on Steam. You can put it on the Steam Deck. And I did do. And it was like, what was it, about 10 gig by the time it had finished downloading and installing? I'm like, it's a fucking card game. 10 gig. But you do need to play it on a big screen. The small screen just doesn't work. And I tried the Android version. So I've set my account up and all of that. But the Android version is the screen obviously is even smaller. Like you can hover over cards and examine them, but then it like if you long press it, it will zoom in on the cards. You can read it, but then like it thinks you want to play that card, and you're like, no, I don't. So if you're going to play it, you need a big screen and a computer really, which just takes all the fun out of a card game. But anyway, give Super Mario Kart Horizons a go.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. So yeah, I'll have to check it out. As I'm a big SNES Mario Kart fanboy.
yeah, I never loved the first one. I think it's cool that they're still doing some hacks and making new carts and whatever, but not for me.
It hasn't aged well. The first one controls aren't great.
I think it controls beautifully.
No. It's
high
hot
skill
trash.
ceiling on
Hot
it.
trash. Come on, hot trash.
Very high skill ceiling. Match race.
No.
Toad versus Cooper. Ghost Valley 1. Winner stays on. That'll keep you going for hours. That does.
Bro.
But
no,
speaking
that's
about
bad.
Mario Kart, as we were, one from me. Does Mario Kart's blue shell even work? An investigation. And it's an article you can read, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but talking about, is like the blue shell even worth it? You got to hang back to avoid it and try and win at the last minute. If you're in front, does it achieve its intended aim? You can read the article yourself on Eurogamer. You can follow the links to everything we talk about tonight. Well, not everything, all the news items, that is, in the show notes page at, obviously, retrogamingroundup.com. Be there or be square.
One sent in by me, and this is the Evercade Alpha, which is, as it sounds, well, it doesn't sound, but it's from Evercade, so it's the same kind of hardware compatibility with cartridges that has, but it's not in a handheld or a home console anymore. They've built a little mini arcade machine for it. So yeah, that's an interesting new form factor. So I think they also announced a new overhaul of the Evercade handhelds recently as well. So they must be, I think originally we'd all kind of gone like, nice idea. I see what they're doing. They're packaging sort of emulators in with the official ROMs and sort of on a cartridge, doing sort of targeted collections, which kind of makes sense. They're kind of nice. Maybe Pico Interactive, we'll gloss over those ones perhaps, but they must be doing pretty well, which kind of surprises me when we're getting the proliferation of Chinese emulation handhelds at similar or lower prices. So yeah, if you want a little arcade machine to play your Evercade carts on, it's coming.
Well, A lost Atari game has been brought back and is now free to play online, folks. So this is Tarzan for the 2600. It was classified as missing in action. It was a casualty of the never ceasing, march forward, blah, blah, blah. Kind of like got lost in the dustbin of history, but this fella that was at Coleco of all things, like, ended up having the ROM cart and sold it to Rob Atari Sport, the collector, and Thomas Jenkins or something. Got it running on emulator, so now it's free to play, and kind of looks like a little hut. There's kind of like a layered cake of green where it's like outer layers kind of keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. You go up some ladders and stuff like that. So it's cool. Like, these things keep coming out. Like, who in the hell knew? Like, God, 40, 50 years ago or whatever. So these games from obscurity keep popping up. So thank you, Thomas and Kevin, for documenting the entire progress, and people can kind of find out about that on the show link.
Yeah, it was a weird one, that, because one of the stories I read was like David Crane brings back long lost Tarzan game, and it's like, no, this game was actually written years ago. It's been around for ages. Someone's just sort of found it and released it. But David Crane owns part of a company with some other old Atari guys, but they're going to make it on cartridge, I think. So I think that's the David Crane tie-in. But it's like, David Crane rescues this game. No, he didn't. No, he didn't do that.
Weird.
Yeah, Ryan Toole sent us one in. Replica of 1970s arcade machine made with 3D printer. So we discussed this before, and Scott's told us about Aussie Arcades, their forum thread about bringing back Computer Space as a 3D printable cabinet. This one is the one that they've got down at the Arcade Archive. And there is a good scan out there. I know that because I've got an STL for it, and I've printed one over there. It's obviously a miniature one, but it's at the side of my miniature Tetris, desktop size cab over there. But for this one, they did the dimensions of photos and things, so it looks pretty good until you get to like the top where the screen is, and then it just all kinds of gets a bit out of scale. So, but I mean, just the very fact that you can 3D print a Computer Space is amazing. But if you're going to do it, use the better scan that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Got a fun little article that I sent in from The Guardian, and it's written by Dominic Diamond, who many of you will know was the host of the UK's Games Master, and I think still has a column in Retro Gamer. And it's not his best column, but he's basically, the premise is as he's in his 50s, he's trying to play video games for the first time stoned.
What took him so long?
Yeah, exactly. But it's not so much like anything sort of mind blowing or game changing in his experience, but it's just kind of like, what I kind of quite liked was the interactions with his parents with his children, when they realise their dad's just sitting there getting stoned and playing computer games. They just think he's a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
So you like Dominic's work, have a little look through that.
I've still not read the Games Master book. Have you? Did you read yours?
No, I've not. I've read a little bit of it and was like, right, I'll put that like in the queue, and then I haven't really got through my queue.
Yeah. So we went out for the day today, and I picked up two books, actually, two hardback books, all Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes collections and stuff. But so this time of year, like, we've had some decent weather the last few weeks, and so what I do, I get home from work, have my shower and all that shit, and then just go and sit out in the garden with an actual book. I read on my Kindle every night in bed, but I still do enjoy reading books. But like in the garden, or as a coffee table book in the lounge or whatever, I'll read, like non-fiction. So it might be like a Games Master or Red Craig's Game Not Over book. Or what I've been reading a ton of at the moment is like foraging books. Like there's one called The Forager's Calendar, and it tells you like every month what to watch out for, what you can eat, what you can do with it, and all that. So I'm just reading a ton of those. And for my birthday, which is on Monday, I've asked for, it's an old book, and it's quite expensive now to buy because I want the actual book. It's something like The Lost Herbal Remedies or something. And you go through this book. I mean, they say never Google your ailments, but you go through the book and find out what's wrong with you, and then it'll say, go and pick some of these, do this with them, and that'll sort you right out. So I may try some of them, I may not, but I'm just really into that kind of stuff at the moment, foraging and natural foods and remedies and all that kind of stuff. So, but once I've finished this one, I will probably do the Games Master one. Might take it away with me in the caravan because I like having a sit down and a read when we're, away for the weekend, sitting in a field, fucking about or whatever. So, I do plan on getting to it. I've just not got to it yet.
Let me know when you've had enough of herbal remedies and you want to borrow some tarot and crystals off Amber.
Tarot. My sister-in-law actually is big into tarot and all that stuff. Yeah.
We should do a retro tarot deck somehow.
with us on it.
Yeah.
I'll be death.
But maybe change it. I was gonna say there's obviously we could change some of the things. So like instead of like death, you maybe have or the fool. Well, I suppose the fool you just have a SoCal. But I was gonna say you replace the fool with like the lying criminal or whatever, and
yeah.
All right. Well, zum Geburtstag für dich. Zum Geburtstag für dich. All right. So 30 years later, the 1994 Street Fighter movie is still making money. What? So, guys remember this movie? Like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Raul
saw it at the
Julia.
cinema.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, crazy, right? But they're doing a little piece here saying Capcom is still making tens of millions of yen, and I don't really know what the translation is for yen to dollars or whatever, or euros, but pounds. It's still making tons of money every year in syndication, so good for them.
Yeah, I believe the yen to dollar at the moment is not very much. It kind of sums it up.
Dollar's going to be worth fuck all if Biden gets in again. Bringing it back to politics.
Can I just give like a little? Can I give a little sidebar on like the debate that was 2 nights ago or something? We discussed
it with Scott, but that was before we got going on the top 10, so I don't think it's in the show. I'm not sure if I was even recording, but we did discuss it. I've seen the highlights. I've not seen the whole thing.
So I was stuck in the airport. I was like going to New York, New Jersey for work and everything, and I'm sitting there in the airport and like plane delayed, like again and again, like didn't even leave until almost 1:15 a.m. But so I got the whole chance to watch the debate, and I just really feel like if this is the best that we have for America, your bar is really fucking low. Like if you like either of these guys, just fuck off. Like they're both terrible. They're both the worst. Like I don't know, man. Like that's how I feel. Like I'm not like I've always been registered independent, and I voted for kind of a wild cast of characters like my whole life as far as I've been allowed to vote. But these guys both kind of blow. Like I don't get it. I don't know how you feel about your country or where you're at or anything, but
so I don't think
specifically
I don't
Joe
think
Biden looked like a goddamn zombie.
Oh, Biden is absolutely terrible. And let's be honest, Joe Biden is not your president. Obama is pulling his strings behind the curtain. It's the Wizard of Oz. Joe Biden's out front while Jill Biden holds his hand and leads him and says, "Don't go talking to that ghost over there. Come this way." And there's a parachutist just landing in front of you. Oh, what's this over here? Oh, piece of candy.
Yeah,
It's like, that guy just needs to be put out to grass. And Donald Trump will come in and he'll fix some trade deals and he'll go to Korea. He might solve some of the shit in Ukraine. He's not the answer to everything. And the thing I fear is that people, Americans obviously, but we see a lot of it because when America farts, we get the smell. But if Trump will come in and fix a lot of things, and I think you need that right now. He's not the answer to everything, and I think people are pinning all their hopes to fix everything on him, and he can't do it in 4 years. So you need a plan B, and you do have some plan Bs, but over here we've got an election in like 5 days, and I want none of them to win. They're all complete tosspots. It's a joke. Honestly, I do not know which way to vote. I don't want the Tories. I don't want Labour. Farage is like in charge of reform, but he's a city banker turned politician. Do you trust him? Labour are going to come in. There's no doubt about it, and they're going to undo Brexit and put us back in. I don't want any of them to win.
I'm going to be in Clacton on election day, so no doubt Farage is going to be there. So I'm going to throw like fish and chips at him.
I think that's every country. Like everyone's like, "What the fuck? Like, is this all we have?" Like, nobody really understands the middle, and I don't know, man.
Europe. Look at Europe. What's happened to Europe?
Like the inflation that we have. Like like what's going on there might be a little different than what we have going on here. But I think
lockdown and all of that and the COVID shit and they tried to overreach.
God, that was like 4 fucking years ago.
I know, but we're still feeling the headache from that. And they've brought lots of things in since that, using that as an excuse to start the ball rolling.
Nah, it's some bullshit.
People have woken up and they don't trust the media anymore. They don't trust politicians anymore. And so people are bringing in just random, parties like Le Pen in France is probably going to come in. Right wing. I just think people have had enough of the same old bullshit and want to change. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump is your change. I don't know what our change is going to be, but...
Sparkle.
Anyway.
So we have we do have sensible independents running in some constituencies, but you also get like people like Lord Binface and stuff like that. Do you get all like fun characters in some well, I guess it's cut into like not just states but sub regions. Do you get like really out there wacky shit as well as independents?
Yeah.
You must have porn stars and shit running. Because, if you get...
We have like Marjorie Taylor Greene down in the South.
But she would consider herself a serious politician. This is like weird people just being stupid.
We have like...
like we had in the 80s, we had a guy screaming Lord Such, who was the head of the Monster Raving Loony Party. And one of his his policies was to introduce crocodiles into the River Thames. And he knows he's never going to get elected, but if he did win a seat, say the Tory politician in that area was, caught doing something he shouldn't, and people voted Lord Such in, he's on an 80 grand a year job for the next 5 years. That's why they do it. It's like 80k a year. Yeah, give me some of that. Thank you.
Yeah, we had a guy like Vermin Supreme and like some guy that wore like a rubber boot on his hat, and he was up in Vermont or something. But for the most part, like we don't, maybe have like quite that stuff because like the party system's so kind of locked down. But I don't know. Like the good news is like we get to enjoy games and keep playing on and stuff like that. But I do feel like there's something going on, man. That's just like it's squeezing motherfuckers. Like it's like inflation. Like I went shopping for groceries earlier. It's like it's getting a little bit more expensive every time I look at it. And
social media's turned a lot of things into like you're on one side or the other. There's no kind of scope for like trying to actually, have reasonable discussions and accept other people's
Oh, Jesus.
points of view and things like
go
that
on,
anymore.
You go on
And
social media and post something political, then just stand back and watch
it
the
doesn't even
world
have to be
burn.
political, but yeah, unfortunately, that's then come into everything else. It's drip fed into everything else. So everything that politicians talk about, like in our debates, are completely pointless. They're just none of it's about what they're going to do to improve things. It's all about how much of it's just slinging shit at the other person
I
all
mean,
the time.
will
It's
we
just-
look back and say the height of human civilization was 1990 or 1987 or something? Like, sometimes I kind of fucking think that. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, you've got a soundboard for that.
yeah, I mean, like guys, like I look at it like goddamn video games, like go to a pizza parlor, like there was restaurants.
1982
wasn't too
represented the most
expensive.
amazing year of gaming ever.
Now listen, 1983 must be the
Yeah.
greatest year of gaming of all time.
I mean, I wouldn't say like that late. I think 83 is a little early, but between 89 and 95, I don't know. Like,
You know
it was
what, though?
pretty
Historically,
fucking good.
every successful empire has pretty much committed suicide. You look at like how big the Greek Empire was, going back further, the Egyptians, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire. Look how big they were, and they just disappeared. And we might be doing the same. Anyway, this is a video game show, so let's talk about a laptop. This one comes in from Chris, and it is designing and 3D printing an IBM ThinkPad replacement case. So this guy had like a cracked bezel on an IBM ThinkPad and thought, I'll replace that. I can 3D print one of those. Ended up designing and printing a whole new case for the entire laptop. It's a YouTube video, about 15 minutes long. Definitely well worth checking out.
That's pretty cool. I've got a couple of cracked ThinkPads knocking around because they do just keep on rocking. And to stay on the video game themes,
Yay!
I found a pinball table where staples and paper clips are actually, wouldn't be out of place. This is a DC Harley Quinn themed pinball, but as a board game. Don't know haven't seen any examples of how it's played yet or anything like that. But you've got sort of the board is in a long portrait format. You've got flippers at the bottom, and then you're working your way up, sort of rolling. I think rolling dice will hit certain, bumpers in certain zones as you make your way around the table to get points and extra balls and all the usual sort of pinball-y stuff. So keep an eye on that. Maybe might pick that up as a little curiosity.
Not the first tabletop pinball either. You remember our good old friend Diane Sauer did a pinball card game.
Woo!
What was that
I
called?
don't
That must be
remember
in our that must be in our news archive. Let me see if I can find it quickly. Show segments. News item archive. Let's find.
Pinball Showdown. Shoot again. Game.
Diane Sauer has a pinball card game out. You can search for that on our website. Pinball Showdown by
Pinball
Shoot
Show-
Again Games. Yeah, came out in
25
2017.
Buckaroos.
Yeah, might have to pick that up actually. I did watch that video when it came out. Someone sent it obviously into news. Roundup 23, November 2017. We discovered it. I did watch that video and it did look like an interesting game. Maybe we'll pick that up and play it at the next Expo Random.
Yeah, go for it.
Speaking of Diane Sauer and Janelle Janquez, and one of my good friends just started to make a transition, which was kind of interesting.
Not that we're suggesting Diane Sauer transitioned, by the way.
Right.
I don't think that's the case.
I don't know if you had anybody close to you, but we used to brew beer together and go shoot AR-15s and
And now you just do nails.
nah. I mean, and he just divorced his wife and very quickly, is on track for some surgery. And anyway,
That's the weirdest shit, isn't it?
it's interesting. So there is a clip. I'm gonna read a news story here for the Xevious movie that sent in from David Guyrich. Xevious movie from 2002 that was never released, and it's a really cool trailer. Let's see. This was a CGI animated movie that never really kind of came to light. I played Xevious a lot growing up. There was a little kind of flea market near old coal mine in Pittsburgh that we used to walk along the train tracks to go to on Sundays and play Xevious. This was licensed but never saw the light of day, and looked like a little short run in Japanese theaters or something like that. It's a little clip. So anyway, I don't know who owns Xevious today. Does anybody know?
I don't know. Probably even the person who owns Xevious isn't completely sure they own Xevious.
Yeah. I mean, great game. A lot of name panache as far as like old school games, but never really got too much further than the.
So it was developed by Namco. Did Namco still? I don't know. Because Nintendo were involved in some ways, in publishing and ports and things. But you've got, let's have a look here. Atari have developed versions of Claim, so they're all licensing it from someone. I don't know. I'd say Namco.
I could hear the little like song in my head. Yep.
We have got one here from Dave Lanke. Tomb Raider anime is getting an October release date. And there is a trailer and plot details. It's going to be an anime show on Netflix, featuring Lara Croft, obviously. Do you know any more about it, Random? Have you watched the trailer?
I do not. No, I didn't. I was thinking I might keep myself unaware of it and go in blind in October and check it out. Although I've kind of lost the time I used to have to do stuff like that. Has now been taken over with like joint. Well, at the moment, Buffy and Angel watching.
That's because you go to bed at tea time.
Well, yeah, that doesn't help. But I used to go to bed on my own and then watch something for an hour and then go to sleep.
And when you don't go to bed at tea time, you end up walking around a hotel car park.
Yeah. Yesterday. What was it? Yeah. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday we did top 10, wasn't it? Yeah. Thursday night I was playing Monster Hunter till quite late with friends, and then the whole of the next day. Like, fortunately, I'd eaten before it got late this time, but the next day I just couldn't eat. It's just like body just doesn't work.
Yeah.
All I did was stay up till like 11:30 or something. But,
I feel like Tomb Raider is one of those games that they should redo for like the Intellivision or Coleco or something, where they do like degrading game. Yeah, exactly. Like Halo, when they did it on the 2600, I feel like they could do something with Tomb Raider where it's like, throw the pick and kind of like climb up a cliff or something like that.
Have you played there's two games on the Game Boy Color. Have you played those? They're pretty good.
Yeah,
side
but like
platformers.
even more primordial,
right.
We obviously, yeah. I mean, it's kind of Prince of Persia alike in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed the Game Boy Color ones. I was going to say something I've forgotten. It was something to do with Revival. It might come back to me. Completely forgotten. Just thought I'd put that out there.
While you're thinking about that, Peter Gibbs also sent in the BBC article about computer space. So thank you, Peter Gibbs, for your submission.
I've remembered what it was just before you go into the Ultimate Game Boy random. That reminded me about Gareth. He had his Pocket with it. What? Who makes the
Analog Pocket.
Analog Pocket, yes.
Yeah.
So he was showing that to me. I was having a mess about with it. It's a hell of a system. It looks great. And that reminded me that you had the play date there, and you got it out at one point, and I said, "Oh, you need to show me that, and I'll have a look at it." Completely forgot.
And then you never,
I
we never did. Yeah.
But
When we
yeah,
go- when we
the
go
Analog
roller
Pocket
skating-
looks like a hell of a thing.
When we go roller skating and
Yeah.
what else are we going to do? Bowling,
Bowling and golfing.
golfing. There's got to be some other like good date night activities we could do.
Sparkle, when did you last roller skate or ice skate?
Let's see. 3 years ago.
Really? Wow, that's the most recent then. Mine was like 15 years ago. I think random was a bit longer, was it?
It was a little bit longer. I mean, I do actually still have ice skates though, so it's not been so long that when I moved house, I like threw them away.
Yeah, bro. I'm kind of out there. Like I'm skateboarding, roller skating, like what I mean, I don't know. I like literally like last night I was playing beach volleyball on the court, trying to do stuff, and I'm starting to get like as I turn 40 and start to approach mid 40s, I'm just like trying to get out there and do shit, and shit hurts.
Yeah,
As you approach your 40s, you're trying to turn yourself into a 20-something 90s California surf bum.
Yeah.
Bro, yeah, I mean that's it.
Gnarly,
but,
dude.
I don't know. Like I started taking like all kinds of like pills and shit, like ashwagandha and like whatever.
Viagra, Cialis.
Yeah, bro. Nah, I don't know about those last ones, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to do it. Like, I think like my grandparents. Like I remember like my grandpa. He came from Poland and he fought in the war and shit, and like he just sat in like a lazy boy and kind of died. You know what I mean? Like he got a fucking like a watch or whatever, and like smoked cigarettes and drank coffee, and like he died early. And then like my parents are kind of like fucking around a little bit, like doing some gardening or whatever, but like I'm trying to like at least be like doing shit until I'm 70 and
You're gonna
feeling
get hit
good.
by a car on your roller skates.
Yeah, like whatever, like fuck it. Yeah, but I mean I'm out there like I'm playing video games, like I'm out there like on the beach court, like playing volleyball, like I'm hanging out, whatever. Like people might say like dude's old or what, I mean, but you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to do stuff, like, and I feel like the younger the generation is, the more you're trying to travel, like trying to hang out, like do some stuff, like stay young. And I really feel like got to do some physical stuff. So if you're listening to the show and you're not out there and like walking around a little bit every day or something, like got to put your steps in. You got to do something, like just to maintain. So
Yeah,
there
when my kids were growing
your
up,
mum's basement, you nerd.
when my kids were growing up and like getting roller skates and stuff, I thought, yeah, I'll go out and join them. What kid doesn't want the dad joining them on roller skates? So I went out and bought myself like a decent pair of inline skates, and
Yeah,
I
your
go
knees
out
are
with them and
fucked.
race them up and down the street and what have you. And then I had to do a midnight flit from an old girlfriend's house, and like I'd bagged up all my shit and loaded the car, and I thought, got in the car and driving out, and I thought, fuck, I've left my roller skates under the stairs. So I've not owned any since, but yeah, maybe when the grandkids get a bit older. What girl doesn't want the granddad roller skating down the street with them? Come on.
Yo, so I mentioned this earlier. So I was down in Orlando. My daughter played in like the Junior Olympics for volleyball, and we were like a top 100 team and played like the number 30 team. And this girl was like 13, looked like she was made out of fucking marble. They did like pass, set, hit, whatever. And this girl smashed the ball, and our defensive player like went to kind of block the ball, and like she hesitated like either like put her hands up to pancake it or to put her hands low to kind of, bump it, and right between the eyes, and it was like boom, headshot, dead. This girl fell over dead on the court, and coach ran over, like kind of scooped her up, and her legs were going like a baby deer. Like she couldn't fucking move, and her legs were like flopping around and shit. And they had to get an ambulance and like take her like right to the fucking hospital. And, putting yourself out there is dangerous, bro. Like, this, like she thankful, like they had a CT scan, didn't have like brain bleeds or anything, but like, doing sports and shit, like, you can have some injuries, but I think everybody should like get out there, do a little exercise. So there you go. That's my soapbox moment.
Take a chance,
Just
live on the edge.
Reminded me of when I used to play field hockey, and I managed to hit a shot that one of my friends was trying to defend. It hit them right in the middle of the shin and just sort of snapped the shin in half. It was just like, it was unpleasant.
That won't buff out.
Yeah, that sounds like a fucking awful. What the fuck? Snap the shin in half?
Walk it off.
No, but I mean, like, like when we were all kids, like that was the like. I remember I played football in high school, and I had a massive concussion, like where I just got plowed right in the fucking dome, and
that means something else these days.
Yeah, no, but I remember like I didn't know where the fuck I was at, and people were like, "Oh man, you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all right. Well, I guess my dad's gonna pick me up." And they're like, "No, dude, like you drove here," and I had no recollection that I knew how to drive, and like thankfully I was like friends with the guy on the field, and like they gave me a ride home and everything, but I think they take brain injuries way more seriously today than they did back then. And thankfully, like they really should. I mean, fuck, like back then it was like, oh, you just like rub a wet sponge on it and like you're good, like put you out there, like, all the motherfuckers listening to this show, like they know how it was. Like you got banged up and shit, and you were like seeing stars, and they're like, all right, cool, like get back out there. And thankfully now I think we can all agree, like gotta be a little more careful with that shit. So anyway,
we had a kid near us growing up, and he was just the dumbest fuck around, and he came round
motherfucker.
he came round to ours, and he's like talking to my older brother. He said, "I'm gonna make a parachute." Okay, what are you gonna make it? Well, I've got a tea towel, but I've got no string. So like my brother's like, well, we've got some string. So he made this parachute out of like a tea towel, tied a piece of string to each corner. We went onto the common. He climbed up this fucking huge tree and jumped out with this tea towel and fucking smashed his legs on the ground. Fucking idiot. We're like, yeah, go for it.
It's the same guy who built that rocket in his back garden to prove the Earth was flat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's fucking great.
Oh dear.
You're like, go for it, bro. It's gonna work.
Go for it. Yay. Jump. Oh dear. Anyway, before all that, Random was going to tell us about a chromatic Game Boy.
Yeah, so we've had, like we mentioned, the Analog Pocket. I showed a couple of months ago my OLED screen, which was the newest hotness in screen modding for the Game Boy Color. We recently had someone bring out a specific FPGA Game Boy and Game Boy Color like kit that uses the aftermarket shells, and they've developed basically a replacement for the hardware, so you don't need a donor anymore. And then Palmer Luckey has come along, whether you like him or not. He went a bit kind of, he helped kickstart Oculus and some of the good VR stuff, but maybe went a bit off the rails here and there. But he made what he claims is going to be the ultimate Game Boy, and it's different because it's a magnesium shell for the body, so it's pretty premium feeling. And he's had the LCD specially developed so that it sort of apes the color palette of the actual Game Boy Color. So, I mean, the problem with the IPS screens and certainly the OLED screens is that they're a bit too vibrant, a bit too oversaturated when it comes to the Game Boy Color stuff, because a lot of developers had to sort of jack up the colors because of the sort of the nature of that original Game Boy Color screen being kind of a bit pastel colored. So then when you come to emulate that, or on an emulator, or you put it through a modern screen, it all looks a bit garish. So he's had these special screens developed. So it sounds like it could be quite nice. $199 though. It's getting into analog pocket money, and that plays a whole host of systems. So yeah, I mean, I bet it's going to be very nice, I think, but yeah, pricey.
Yeah. Gareth, when he was showing me his analog pocket at the expo, he's like, "Oh, I'm gutted. I had a cartridge and it was like a compendium of games on it, and it had loads of them, and I've lost it." I'm like, "Dude, it's an analog pocket. Just dump the games on it." It's like, "No, but they were all on one cartridge." And your point is,
that was also sent in by Glenn Minette as well. So thank you, Glenn.
Thank you, Glenn. One here from David Gyrick, the history of Irish arcade games, to be sure. Did you know Ireland has a secret history of coin-ops? I must admit I didn't.
Is it Ireland or Northern Ireland, or do you distinguish between the two?
I don't know what normally if they say Ireland, it's the south. Not if they mean Northern Ireland, they usually define it, but I'm not sure on this occasion. But I would guess it's the south. And these are electromechanical games on the Emerald Isle. It's an article. It's got photos and videos, so you really need to go and check it out yourself. But some great looking electromechanical games. Some really old kind of electromechanical stuff. Just fantastic. There's a YouTube video there you can watch, and it stems from some guy doing a presentation about it. Does it say who he is? Your author's first encounter. Doesn't say who it is that I can read just from a quick scan through, but I will bookmark that and go and check it out later. And that was sent in, as I said, by David Gyrick.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I got one here. It's on Yuzu Koshiro. Shares new footage of Genesis Mega Drive shmup Eartheon. So this one is using FM synthesis, all kinds of different stuff, but it sounds like he's working on it to come out later this year for Mega Drive. Looks badass. I mean, it looks like he used some simulator like for part of it, but new shmup coming out. Pretty cool for emulation. Always love new shmup. I think Dave loves them as well. Would you agree?
I do, and I certainly love shmups with good soundtracks, and Yuzo Koshiro should be a shoo-in for it having a good soundtrack.
Did you ever get into Ikaruga Random?
A bit, not as much as sort of people would maybe, everyone sort of would encourage me to do. I was always kind of a bit, I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I feel like the more that I go to arcades, the more that I feel like the shit's relevant. Like, playing different arcade games and shit like this, and seeing pinball and everything else. Like, I still feel like there's a space for this stuff.
Yeah.
There's a resurgence from people wanting to be together, and it's not the same as it once was, where there was like a mall and like people would go there and like spend time. But I was just like at the airport, and it kind of gave me those old like 80s vibes from or 90s from going to the mall where there's just like a sea of fucking people, you know? And like I go to like breweries and stuff and there's like a sea of people. Like there's certain spots where it's like town square never really disappears. And it's just trying to understand like how do I fit my game into the town square? And like there's enough places around in my town or Atlanta or Chicago or New York and stuff like that where there's still a fucking town square where people want to go and be seen and play games and shit like that. And like maybe it's not as ubiquitous as it once was, but there's still a place for it. There's still new games that are coming out. So I would love to see this game come out and play it, you know, in the arcades. So there you go.
Yeah. So I was listening to something a few weeks ago, and now I can't unsee it. I don't know if you've experienced the same. So this guy on this show I was listening to was talking about like all the Turkish barbers you see now. Like some towns on one high street might have 7, 8 Turkish barbers. And his theory, what they are, is a money laundering front for drug dealing gangs. And like some of them you see will only take cash. Not all of them, but some will have a sign in the window, cash only. And so it's like, you know, you've seen Breaking Bad, like Walter White bought the car wash and things, and they would have maybe 10 cars come through a day, but they would build 20, and those extra 10, you know, that money's been laundered, washed through the business, and etc.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you wash money, guys. And so all these Turkish barbers are doing the same, especially if it's cash. Like, say they have 30 customers
wait
a day.
a minute. You seem to know a lot about this money washing bullshit.
Well, I do, don't I? It's only from watching Breaking Bad. But all these Turkish barbers, you see. Like,
James Gambino.
But what do you think? I mean, is it a thing? It's got to. There's got to be loads in Sheffield, random. Do you have them in the States as well?
Quickly,
Wait, hold on. That seemed like you know, like a little bit prosecutorial that you're gonna like say Sheffield, like. What
Well,
the
no,
fuck's up
I
with
mean,
that?
every town that, like, literally,
Wait a
like,
minute.
every town I
Why
go to, you
Sheffield?
see Turkish. Well, no, every town you
Because
go to, you see Turkish barbers, and on some high streets, you'll see half a dozen of them. There is no way the market supports that many Turkish barbers.
So I've got another thing there, but like, first of all, I bet UK Neil knew how to do money laundering. But
Yeah.
so Turkish barbers, yeah, it doesn't seem so bad maybe because it's kind of drowned out a bit by, you know, just as many like charity shops and pound shops and stuff springing up everywhere on high streets because the high streets are fucked. But what I don't understand, which is what I've seen around Sheffield, is quite a lot of like ice cream restaurants with never anyone in them.
Yeah.
Maybe
And that has
Froyo's
always
the
been
new crack.
That's been my thought of like, this is a front organisation. Because how are all of these places in business in fucking Sheffield where it's never sunny? No one wants an ice cream. Fuck that shit.
Yeah, let's go to Sheffield for an ice cream.
No, you know what they have here is fucking mattress companies. So there is like 400 fucking like bedding and mattress companies here. And how often do you buy a bed? Like once a decade, maybe?
Like, I bought a mattress in this house. The previous mattress I bought was like when I got married.
Like,
I bought 2 mattresses.
yeah, Dave, how about you? Like how many
So,
mattresses you bought?
Mike's had more wives than mattresses.
Not too far out. The math might work.
Yeah,
on that,
I mean, mine. Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, it's probably like 10 years on averages out.
So, like between here and the beach, like it's always these like smoking hot Russian girls that are like 19, and you're like, all right, you're probably doing something on the side, right? Like a little bit of side labor or something, and you're like, nobody's buying a fucking bed. Like you buy a bed maybe once a decade or something, and it makes no sense. But here, like that has to be the scam.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh dear.
It's been a good news this month.
It has. It's been fun. David Garrick sends one in. Games woes continue. So Game is like a UK version of GameStop. And this story is about them ending their reward program and elite membership. So, you know, it's the same loyalty card type thing. So they're ending that. And then I saw another story later on. I don't know if somebody sent it. They may have done, I can't remember. But they were saying that Game is now going to stop selling all physical games. And then Game came back and countered it, said like, no, that's not true. We've never said that. We're not going to stop that. So whether they were and now have decided not to, or whether just someone just made some shit up, I don't know. But Game is probably not going to be around a huge amount of time longer.
50% of the shop is Funko Pops.
Yeah, and iPod
20% is Lego and board games and plushies.
Yeah,
And then there's maybe 5% actual video games in there that
Yeah.
are far too expensive.
yeah.
So, I mean, me and my mates have said for years, like, I don't know how they've carried on going as
No.
long as they have.
No, I don't. Maybe they're just washing Turkish money.
Yeah, maybe.
GameStop.
Well.
Game shops are a front for for international drug dealing gangs.
hell
You
yeah.
heard it here first.
Speaking of international drug dealing Turkish barbers, what about Sega Rally Championship? There's a new Sega Rally documentary that came out, and goddamn, I just love YouTube, bros. Like, what the fuck? Like, Pandemonium just put out this documentary. It's 4 goddamn hours long. 4 fucking hours. What? So, you know, if you are a Sega Rally fan, this is everything that you need and plus some or whatever. Really good. I think I watched the first maybe 2 hours and kind of fell asleep. I like to kind of put shit on my iPad while I'm going to bed, and you know, I'm kind of in a dream state or whatever. But you know, if you guys haven't seen this, great game, great fucking movie, great documentary, whatever. Any input from the team?
I didn't watch it, but I have. It is on my watch later list on YouTube. I mean, fantastic game, just unreal game. Played it a hell of a lot, and it was one of those like,
Yeah, especially at the time, right? Like, just
yeah. Even despite the fact that it was one of those first games, like games, you know, obviously Space Invaders and that era was like 10p to play. Maybe a quarter for or 10 cents or whatever. But for us over here, it was 10p to play. Then some games like went to 50p, and then like Sega Rally was like, nah, I'm a £1, dude. And it was like, oh wow, games just went to £1, but you did it anyway. Fucking great game.
It's fantastic, and we still jump on it and play multiplayer when we're at Arcade Club.
Yeah, it's
Every
classic for 2 players. It's brilliant, really is. That and Daytona, good fun.
why is it that you know, like the UK seems to love racing, like F1, like all that shit.
We invented F1. That's why.
90% of the teams are based in
Yeah,
the UK.
they're all based here.
Yeah,
we
I
invented F1. Obviously, we didn't invent Indy racing, but we invented F1. Racing round airfields in Silverstone. Was it 1948? Might have been the first British Grand Prix, I think, something like that.
I can't remember the exact date, but it's around there.
Just like something inherent in the DNA that you guys just love, like going fast, and there's just,
I don't think that's inherent to us. I think lots of
everybody I've
people
met,
to go
like,
fast.
you know, and like this is like my macro view of the world or whatever, but like literally, like I just played, you know, volleyball with some dude from the UK last night, and he was like, I love fucking racing and watching fucking F1 and shit, and like every motherfucker, like seriously, like you guys just like have like this like adrenaline rush for fucking like mechanics and speed and shit like that. I don't know.
I do, but I don't think it's inherently British. I was actually, ironically, talking about this this afternoon, or this kind of thing. We were talking about eras and kind of culture shifts, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and we were talking about the 50s in particular. That's as being like the first real era when teenagers kind of rebelled and had rock and roll music and invented the hot rod. So you had all these cars from like the 20s and 30s, real primitive cars, but these teenagers in the 50s could pick them up dirt cheap, stick an engine in, and this is when cars were simple. So a teenager could buy an old car and knew what every bit of the engine did, how to fix it, how to make it go faster, and they would turn them into hot rods, which is why, you look at a classic hot rod, it's like an old 20s, 30s, 40s chassis with some ridiculous engine in, and that's where it came from. So, that was all American, and they would go out onto roads in the middle of nowhere and race them, and that's where the drag strip came from. Because they probably didn't go around corners too well. The tyres were like, 3 inches wide or something, but they go like fucking a straight line, and that's where all that came from. And that's a purely American thing.
But for me, you had, NASCAR was built out of the Prohibition, the guys having to tune up their cars to outrun the cops.
Yeah, but I mean, it's more regionalized here, where I meet people from the UK, and it's kind of like there's this just greater affinity for mechanics.
There might be part of it that because public transport in the UK has often been quite woeful, then people need to, a lot of young people need to get their own wheels early on, so they get into car culture. But then also, when I was growing up, you had the World Rally Championship regularly featured on BBC Two. The main sports roundup show, Grandstand, on a weekend on BBC One, it had like a range of sports, but there was always a motorsport section on it. And it was like not just the big things like Formula One and maybe MotoGP or something. We're talking like little backwards rally crosses, all the sort of Formula 2 and Formula 4 junior series, like feeder series for Formula 1. Touring cars was always a massive thing here, and that was all on like basically the BBC. It was all like funded free to view broadcasting. Now it's kind of all spread out all over the place. It's not quite, you have to sort of hunt it out, so I don't know whether things are going to change as we go forward, but that certainly was formative for me. And my dad was into racing partly through his job, and
the TT's a British thing, I suppose, but obviously you got bike racing over there.
You guys remember when Elon Musk announced the Cybertruck 4 years ago?
Yeah,
I do.
And said it was bulletproof and threw a piece of paper at it and it cracked.
Yeah. During that press conference, as soon as he was done, he was like, and you can get in line now and put down, some money and get in line or whatever. So I did that 4 years ago. And I just got an email 2 days ago saying that my Tesla is ready. I tried logging in while I was in New York and couldn't get in. And sounds like the Founders Edition Tesla Cybertruck is available for me now. So
are you going to get one?
Well, I don't know, man. When they first announced it, it was like you could sign up for the $40,000, the $50,000, or the $70,000 truck. And I've been hearing that there's only 2 available, and it's like 100 or 120. So I have to log in and check it out. My daughter just committed to college last week, and
now you're in Paul Street.
Yeah, bro. I fucked up. So any of you guys that listen to this that are younger and you got a kid going to college, make sure that you kind of set the expectations. Say here's the schools, like here's how much I can afford, or if you're gonna let them do it on your own or whatever, good to you. But I didn't really set the parameters, so we had just like wild schools that she got accepted to, and she was like, yeah, I'm going here, it's $75,000 a year, and I'm like, no, that's like paying $400 for a steak. That's not a good deal. So she found a school that's really highly ranked, and she's going to go into pre-med and stuff like that. But I'm going to have to help out with that, obviously, and I'm looking at the I'm going to have to log in, look at the cost of the Cybertruck. I've seen 2 driving around my town, which are pretty cool. Kind of like
They're
on
fugly.
the what's that?
They're fugly.
Nah, dude, I think they remind me of Moon Patrol. Like,
Not enough
And
wheels.
not enough wheel. Like, if I could add 2 more wheels to it, but I love Moon Patrol.
I saw a good video of Jay Leno. He has one driving around, and some guys filming him and shout at him, "Is it bulletproof?" And he said, like, "Yeah, just drive around LA, dude."
LA's fucked for sure, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna I'll log in, check it out. Just got back, so I'll see, what the price is. But hell, I don't know. I might have one, that or a Jeep pretty soon. So
Yeah.
anyway, I
You
digress.
think you'd have learnt about pre-ordering stuff after the spoon debacle
would,
on
wouldn't you?
Kickstarter?
Goddamn,
Get
you know
your
what?
spoons before you get
I-
your Tesla.
I gotta send it next month. I will do a deep dive into the spoons. So they offer, like, they now have their own website where you can buy the spoons, but the goddamn pre-order ones, like, 7-8 years later, still not available. But you can, yeah. So scandalous,
Those spoon fuckers.
If only,
motherfucker.
if only you could just go down to the shop,
buy
many
some
shops, and
spoons.
buy a spoon.
Yeah.
Fungible,
Imagine that.
foldable spoons, motherfuckers.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's time to lower the tone slightly.
Oh shit.
There's been a death in the family. My old Manscaped boxers have died this afternoon.
Oh shit.
So, we've not done a Manscaped ad for a while. You will see one on the feed there now. Look at that. So, what you can do, listeners, is grab yourself the gift that keeps on trimming. Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, have got you covered, or should I say uncovered. Join the over 2 million men around the world who trust Manscaped to keep their gentleman gardens in order. Go to manscaped.com and use the code RGRoundup for 20% off plus free shipping. Yeah, that's
You know what?
20% off plus free shipping. And I'm going to do that once we get finished here and order me some new boxers. They are the best boxers I've ever owned. And I know Random put his through with the paces. I'm guessing
they've had
either
some
they're
abuse,
falling
yeah.
off him or he's commissioned them
No,
to the bin
they're-
long ago. But mine
No,
officially
they're
died this
still
afternoon.
going strong. Still going strong because they're in rotation with like I sort of bought.
Well, mine are in
similar-
rotation. I don't wear them every fucking day.
I bought some similar sort of ones from Decathlon, like through like all of their price range to sort of try them all out as well. But then yeah, I've got loads of other boxes that are actually falling apart. So I've been starting to look at boxes again. So maybe I'll get some.
Well, Random, if you go to manscaped.com and use the code RGRoundup, you will get 20% off plus free shipping. That's manscaped.com and the code RGRoundup. And we thank Manscaped for everything they do for our boxers.
You know what? They sent me a package, and I have to say, like, the T-shirt was kind of shitty. Like, got a T-shirt, didn't like it, felt a little thick. Got the weed whacker lawnmower thing or whatever it was, the rechargeable shaver, worked fantastic. I definitely chewed up my hacky sack a little bit because I was getting a little too comfortable with it and just like willy nilly, kind of like meh, like all over the place, and just kind of like, hit it the wrong angle and kind of like gave a little slice. And then after that, I was like, cleaned it up, gave it to my kids, and they've been using it for the last like year and a half or something. And the one is like, I love this thing. Like it's great. I've got some of their like ball cream or ball deodorant or whatever the hell it's called. Like I'm sure I'm butchering it, but they got some kind of shit that you can like spritz on your balls.
The crop preserver or the crop reviver. They've got two.
That shit's good, man.
Yeah.
Like I ordered some just independently after they kind of gave us a sample or whatever, and it's pretty good. So check it out if you haven't, whatever. But with some male grooming stuff, I think it's important. I think everybody I think our grandparents, like, they retired. No, seriously, like they retired at like 55 and like got in a fucking lazy boy and just died within like 5 or 10 years. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Motherfuckers like our generation ever after or whatever, like we're playing pickleball, we're fucking climbing mountains, we're doing shit, we're shaving our fucking balls, putting some deodorant on that shit.
Sparkle's making sure his bikini line's done so that he can put his
Random's taking
budgie
nutscape
smugglers on for his
motherfuckers. I'm going on
beach volleyball.
I'm going out to the beach. Like I'm about to like hike my shit up a little bit. Like you know what I mean? Like I need to be trimmed up, looking good. So smelling like you got to get rid of that funk. So you got some man must. You know what I'm talking about. So get some of that shit, hook it up.
Exactly. Then you can take a nutscape picture like Random does
on the top of a mountain.
There you go. Okay, back to news then. David Gyrick sends us this one, and I just don't get this. Am I this out of touch? Imagine Dragons as the gamer's choice, and the headline is How Imagine Dragons Became the Sound of Gaming Culture. They can fuck right off with that. I know one Imagine Dragons song, and it's from 10 years ago. Like, are they massive over there? Because, like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Was it that they kept getting used for trailers?
They must
for
have
games,
been on a commercial or something.
I don't know anyone that rates them.
No.
No.
So, yeah.
Don't get it. I mean, thank you for the news item, David, but really, you're reading the wrong shit.
One I sent in. So we've mentioned in the past few months how obviously the eShop closed on the 3DS and hacking became not only fairly easy on the 3DS but kind of almost moralistically okay because Nintendo aren't going to sell you games on it, so why bother trying? And Sparkle was saying he was playing Wasteland 3 after watching the Fallout show. And now you can sort of mash that all together, and someone has ported the original Fallout onto the 3DS. So as long as you've got the original game files, you can just put those on with this port, this engine port, and play on the 3DS. And you can sort of have a couple of different view options for the top screen and the bottom screen, because obviously having a touch screen is quite handy for a predominantly mouse-driven PC game. But yeah, you can take the original Fallout with you on the go. Pretty cool.
Speaking about on the go, you can go and meet Nintendo on the go. Sent in by David Gyrick. And it is, you can meet Mario and Pikachu at the Play Nintendo Tour. So this is an official Nintendo tour that's going around the US. And it is starting in Salt Lake City, Utah, ending in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And it's doing, 9 stops along the way? Other cities include Denver, Houston, Des Moines, Philadelphia, East Rutherford, like anyone's ever heard of East Rutherford, Greenville, and Miami. At each location, families are welcome to join Nintendo and some of its most popular characters, Pikachu, Donkey Kong, Princess Peach, Mario, etc. for some interactive fun with the best Switch games. It will stay in each location for 3 days, so you've got plenty chance to interact with the Play Nintendo Tour. You can go online and check out when it is going to be coming to a city near you. Where is East Rutherford?
New Jersey.
Oh, okay, right. Have you heard of this thing? Is there one
No.
near you? Do you know?
Don't think so.
Anyway, you can check it out and go and meet all your favorite characters.
Well, David Garish keeps sending them in every month, and Bubsy, the perfect collection announced for PS5, Xbox Series, and the Switch. Oh, so I would chalk this up into being another move from Wade Rosen, the CEO of Atari. Looks like they're going to announce this game and launch it 2025. PS5, Xbox, Switch, Steam. There's going to do a new Bubsy collection kind of thing. So, if you're a Bubsy fan, good on ya. It's going to be available on new consoles and stuff like that. But, I'm looking at this as more of a Wade Rosen move. And I think I've said this, at least to the host. I don't know if, I've pontificated to this to the audience before, but I love what Wade Rosen's doing, man. I think this guy, I know it's not the same Atari, it's been bought and sold and infograms and all that shit, and it's, spun hands and, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure if, Schreiber was here, he'd shit all over it, but I think this guy's making the right moves. So, I'm happy to see where this goes.
Yeah, he definitely seems to be, doing sort of the right things at the moment. So whether it'll last, we shall see, because Atari has been known to do a lot of boneheaded things, but we seem to have pulled out of a heavy boneheaded period and are now going into a fresh new sensible world. So another possibly a boneheaded move was, thanks to Mike James sending this in from the BBC, someone who donated a rare Hulk green Xbox to the British Heart Foundation, a charity shop in the UK, which they say could be worth up to £9,000. It went up for an online sale, auction. It was £400 at the time of writing. There's no details of the auction, so I don't know what it finished at. But yeah, it's you always kind of pop into a charity shop, you have a rummage around. It's usually just FIFA and things like that, but now and again you see something a bit interesting. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite that interesting though.
No, I'm just trying to find out if it. It sold for 7,700. Apparently.
Not bad.
Yep.
I'm going to start seeding charity shops around here with British IBM albums and copies of Smoke and Mirrors.
Beep boop 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 beep beep boop boop.
You should do too. So, one here from Peter Gibbs. Oh, it's an Indiegogo. He said, I have no use for this. But at least it's one of the better Rainbow products in the last 5 years. I would agree with that. This is a Indiegogo for Commodore 64 cases in various colours. Not sure why you would want them. Anyway, is it still running? They are looking for just over £40,000. It's an odd number, so, well, it's an even number, but you see what I mean, it's an odd number. So it may be converted from dollars, I'm not sure. But it's 82% of its goal, 44 days left. Wow, so a long one. 381 backers, so it looks like at this stage it is going to make it. But you can get like a purple C64, and these are the bread bin C64 cases. You can get purple, looks like a dark blue, a grey, a green, a blue, a red. I don't know. Would you really want one?
Maybe if you've got an old one that's like yellowing and
Knackered, yeah.
you could retro bright it, or well, you could treat yourself to a fancy coloured one.
Yeah,
I mean,
mine over there, the case is pretty fucked, to be honest. I mean, you pick the top half up and the bottom half falls out, but yeah.
and we know from a certain entrepreneur that having coloured case options is
Ooh.
No,
80% of the way
90%
there.
there. Yeah.
Oh.
Job done. Next step, profits.
All right. DG sent in another one here, and it is Eastern Gaming Computing. Very cool history lesson, which to me is absolutely fascinating. And I wish that I had more time to kind of read all this. There was a History of Games conference in Birmingham, United Kingdom, May 22nd to the 24th, and they had some folks there doing a panel, and apparently they brought up this this fellow that talked about the history of P.R. Hanzik, probably pronouncing that wrong, referencing 4 examples of isometric games, movie Kung Fu #1, Mind Trap, and there's some old Eastern European games in here, which many of us have probably never seen. There's a whole article here about Eastern European gaming, and it's, Soviet Russia and shit like that. Absolutely fascinating. Something we never really talk about here, and I think most folks are kind of, just ignorant to, because we've just not really had the access and fantastic, insight into what was going on in Eastern Europe during the Cold War. So check this one out for sure in the show notes.
Yeah, it's cool. We've seen people sending links of photos of like Russian arcades and things. Lots of clones, lots of machines not working. I think we even had North Korean arcades as well.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. But good to see what else was going on. So something that has been going on was sent in by Random Dave. A $99 Mister FPGA clone finally has a name. But it hasn't gone down well with everyone. So this is a cheap FPGA based Mister clone. And so was it originally called the Mr. Pi? And then people kicked off and he said, okay, I'll call it something else, and did a poll.
Oh, I hadn't seen that he changed it. So I'd sent in at the point where, it got announced, and people were like, this doesn't make any sense, because,
Yeah, why would you put the word Pi in the name?
You've got Mr. in there, but why would you use Pi, which kind of implies that, it's a Raspberry Pi type single board computer, which it's
isn't.
completely not.
So apparently they've updated the story since then, and he did a poll on Twitter, and the options were no change, Mr. SBC, Pixel Forge, or Retro FPGA, and the winner was, with 44% of the vote, Retro FPGA. But interestingly, 36.4 voted for no change.
Still, it's interesting project. There's a lot of seems to be taking on a lot of variations that he wants to do. So it's kind of, it feels very scary, like it's getting to the point where it's like dude's overcommitted and all of this is going to come crashing down. But I still have hope that this will happen, because this will make the world of Mr. stuff a lot more interesting. Although something I sent in a couple of days ago, there is another FPGA system coming along, whereas the Mister will play Sega stuff up to the Saturn, which it is still a bit flaky with. Someone is creating and in the middle of prototyping the Super Sega FPGA console, which will play Genesis, Master System, Saturn, and Dreamcast. And they're going to have CD-ROM drives on it, obviously for your optical games, but as well as cartridge slots. And so rather than like the Mister, which is a kind of a jack of all trades and you build it yourself. They are trying to build an actual product that will do all of Sega's console history. So yeah.
So it sounds good. I mean, they just opened a Micro Center near me, and I threw it in the group chat on WhatsApp as far as like buying a Pi 5 or whatever, and like I got some plans. I'm thinking about making an arcade and blah blah blah. But they just opened a Micro Center here. And it's bad fucking ass. There's like so much computer shit, like makes your head fucking spin. So anyway, maybe check this shit out.
One here from Mike G. Andre Lamoth, microcontroller course. He says, I've been a big fan of Andre since his game development books from the 90s. Huge respect for Andre. And fun fact, he was the electronic guy on the Intellivision Amico team. He did the controller. Oh, let's set it on fire. Anyway, he is offering a crash course on Arduino and microcontroller development. The course includes 111.5 hours of on-demand video, 7 downloadable resources. You can access it on mobile or a TV. You get full-time access. There's an infinity symbol there, so you get it forever. Audio description and a certificate of completion. So, if you want to learn some Arduino and microcontroller stuff, you can learn it from Andre Lamoth.
Got one here from Shady Dave, and this one is at $20. It's the cheapest HDMI mod yet, and it works with PS2, Xbox, and Dreamcast. Getting a vintage console to output HDMI is one of the top priorities of many retro gamers. And this seems to be one that is only $19. Amazing. Highlighted by Macho Nacho Productions and Electron Analog from Electron Shepherd. It takes the analog video symbol from your console and turns it into something that your HD TV can accept, because it's an internal mod and it's nice and clean too. So there you go. Finally, a way to take VGA component and turn it into HDMI. So PS2, Xbox, Dreamcast, and a host of other things. Fairly easy to get it done with this component and convert to HDMI. So thank you for that, Lazy Dave.
Yeah, it looks a lot neater than my thing that period I went through of putting actual SCART sockets on a load of my consoles. So not just having RGB capable cables, but actually just putting the full socket there, so I could just use standard SCART cables and everything. But yeah, SCART sockets are big and hard to fit into an already crammed console, it turns out.
Yeah.
Something that David Gyrick sent in, if you've managed to finish our show early this month and you're looking for more retro audio entertainment, he sent a link to archive.org where a big dump of the Computer Cafe radio show has been uploaded. The average, but
not very good then.
It's plenty there to go through.
It's not something I've ever heard of. I mean,
no, I've not.
I've heard of the Computer Chronicles. I've watched quite a few of those. The Computer Chronicles was a TV show, and I've seen a few of those there on archive.org, but I've never heard of this one.
What do we got left?
We have got Tomba 2 returning, sent in by David Gyrick. And it's a link to a YouTube video, a reveal trailer, with a special message at the beginning from the Tomba creator, Takuro Fujiwara. And they are going to release a game. Tomba 2. It's done in a more modern style, but it's obviously an official thing with the original creator at the beginning of the video. Looks interesting. Doesn't show too much of the gameplay and give too much away, but hey.
No, what the hell?
Hmm.
We need a little more action here. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Not particularly retro, but car related. We've already talked about racing and how we're all into that. But this was the news that Forza Horizon 4 is getting delisted, sent in by Charlie. Due to licensing issues, that's getting delisted. The end of this month that you'll be listening to this show in, I think.
So we were chatting about that in WhatsApp. So what's the difference between Forza Motorsport and Forza Horizon?
Forza Motorsport is like your Gran Turismo style thing. Forza Horizon is like the one where they put all like Top Gear challenges in it, where you're racing against a train, and it's just general, more of an arcade racer. You know, sort of 6 cars, production cars that are easy, like much more basically tuned rather than you would go in depth with a full racing sim.
Right.
And like, well, Forza Horizon 4, it's set predominantly in the Lake District with a bit of Scotland as well. So you're just tearing around. There's all the landmarks and dry stone walls to smash through, and all sorts of shit. And you get, points for drifting and doing donuts and jumps and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's much more of an arcade thing, but it's kind of open world map as well, to sort of go around and find events or just random shit in the world.
Is it good? Do we need to go and pick it up?
I struggle a bit with the open world style arcade games. I prefer like a Burnout or something like that. Well, the old Burnouts before. As soon as they went into
Wait. What other games would you put in that category?
what open world
Arcade.
driving, arcade driving. So, I mean, the main one is like when Burnout transitioned to Burnout Paradise, and then all of them from then on were like that. Things like Test Drive Unlimited, and the newer Test Drives, they sort of tried to do that. The Crew from Ubisoft.
Yeah.
There's a fair few that sort of seem to go that way. Some of the Need for Speeds, I think, went a bit. No, hang on, we did the Need for Speeds, but like. Oh no, we didn't. Yeah, because of Burnout. Yeah, Burnout finished at Paradise, and then it kind of all transitioned into Need for Speed, the teams. But yeah, Need for Speed went very much in the open world, and like Underground, the first Underground, which was all mostly just like picking stuff off a menu, races off a menu, and events, and then doing them. I find much more engaging as a way to sort of pull you through the.
Do you play any of the new Raw
progression.
Thrills games?
No, I keep
alright.
meaning to pick up Cruising Blast on the Switch.
Uh,
But yeah, I haven't. I know a lot of people do really like it. But man, I like just thinking about like sort of get arcade driving games on Nintendo platforms that are kind of simple and straightforward, but fucking great fun to play. Like fucking Excite Truck, played the shit out of that on
Yeah.
the Wii.
that's how
fucking
my
brilliant.
daughter is. Like my 12-year-old, she loves that shit. Like she loves those. Like every time we go to arcade, she's like, swipe my card, or like whatever shit is. She's just like, let's go. Like she wants to race, and she just loves those like straightforward kind of games where you're just like, kind of on rails, if you will. And you're just like, punching buttons for nitro and shit like that. She loves that shit, and like, I have a whole host of friends. We go out and like hang out at arcades, and like they play that shit. They love it too. So I don't know if you can kind of dig that or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I do like arcade driving games as well as sim games, but yeah, I prefer. I really do like your classic ones where you're just going from events on menus and things, like the whole kind of. I understand the appeal to driving around and finding hidden stuff, but it's a lot like a lot of action games now. Your Assassin's Creed, your Horizon, your Spider-Man. It's all just gone into this like third-person, open world, action sort of adventure type thing. And it just some of it's just a bit kind of filler. I like Zelda, even Zelda. I do like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, but there's a bit of a like. It's kind of nice when you had Ocarina, and it was kind of, it had a kind of a hub, and then bits off it, but it was still pretty linear route through, and you weren't just having to go out and find 1,000 knickknacks just for the sake of filling out a world.
Ocarina's
yeah,
the
I
shit.
don't
So, one here from... Speaking of racing games, as we were a moment ago, who sent it? It is Peter O'Brien. Meet the solo dev whose Sega Rally Tribute could become an official sequel. So, this is going back to Overjump Rally. It caused quite a stir, apparently. It was created using the Unreal Engine 5 and offered a tantalizing glimpse of what a modern-day Sega Rally could look like, complete with super realistic car models, breathtaking environments, and, of course, the trademark Sega Blue Sky. So, Overjump Rally was the work of Alessandro Schiassi, an Italian VFX artist and Sega Rally superfan. And apparently, people loved it so much that it could become an official sequel to Sega Rally, even though it's already got one in Sega Rally 2. But anyway, so let's ignore that and stay tuned.
Details.
Yeah.
But no, I've been keeping an eye on this since it was first, like really early stages, and playing some of the betas along the way. And yeah, it's a really cool, interesting project.
Even though you don't necessarily want ultra realistic controls and stuff in Sega Rally, it's kind of fun.
I mean, they're not really though.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
they well, last time I played it, yeah, they felt different and a bit wrong. But yeah, they're not at all. We're not talking Dirt Rally or Richard Burns or anything.
Right. Show title: Different and a bit wrong. Reminds me of an old girlfriend.
Oh.
Hey, ho, head. She still got me inline skates.
A mattress.
It's better than
Mattress.
still got part of your paycheck.
Oh dear. Another one from David Garrick. Bubsy is back. I don't think I've ever
No, we
played a
did that.
Bubsy.
We did
Oh, you
that.
did that. You're
that.
right. You did. That's why
I
it's
think
marked
we'd-
as red. I
think
think
it's
we're
a
out apart
wrap.
from Random's Retro Realm delay.
hmm
You sent that in. I shall.
So yeah, we
look
mentioned at the start, Craig Turner and the Retro Realm were having an opening, trying to plan for the start of July, and this was I dug out the post from Craig that's saying they're hoping to now have the opening date on the 26th of July. So it's going to be a little bit later.
Oh, do you
but
know what? I
hopefully
think I'm
won't-
busy that weekend too. That's my daughter's birthday.
Oh.
Why does he
Skip
always
it.
pick things when I'm
That's
busy?
going to be the
Yeah,
weekend we're trying to cram in a top 10 in a live news as well.
I
It
feel like
probably
every
is.
weekend, like every time we talk, you're like, it's me, but my daughter's birthday.
Well, I've got
It's like-
15 daughters.
Yeah,
Wives, a lot of daughters.
we know what you like to do. Yeah.
Then we got a TV sometime in the 90s. No, it's like all summer is busy. You know, I've got 3 kids. Paula's got 3 kids, and there's birthdays
fuck.
from like April through to August, and it's just a mental
Y'all some
time.
fuck rabbits.
And you've got like Father's Day, Mother's Day in there as well. You got all sorts of shit going on. Plus, going away in summer, it's a crazy time. Crazy time.
Crazy.
Bring on Christmas. No, don't. I'm enjoying the sun.
Then you gotta buy some bunch of fucking presents. God damn.
Gosh darn. Anyway, it's the most important birthday on Monday, and that's mine.
Hell yeah. Happy
Hell yeah.
motherfucking birthday.
Thank you.
motherfucker.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy motherfucking birthday. I don't think anyone
May you
ever
have-
said it better.
10 blowjobs and 99 virgins.
Yeah, either ratio I'll take. So that's it, dear listeners. That's it for live news. Thank you for joining us. We had a few dropping in and out. We've had a few all the way through. Spinal was in earlier and left us when his pizza arrived. I asked him to come back when he'd finished it, but I don't think he did, which is quite rude. Maybe he ate his
Maybe he
pizza
never
and fell
finished it.
asleep. Yeah, maybe he didn't finish it. Good point. Oh, he's there. Bugger, I just got back.
Oh,
How big was your fucking
Oh.
pizza? That was 2 hours ago.
Where did you go? Where to go? Italy to get it?
Spinal, motherfucker.
Retro Tekken Toys just dropped in. Dang, just got here at the end. Well, hello all anyways. Hello to you too. But more importantly, goodbye. The show, as I said, will be slightly late. It might be the first, it might be the second, could even creep into the third. But rest assured, it's the June show. So thank you to everyone who joined us, and we will catch y'all, all of y'all, again next month. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.